Yo, what up, back at it again. Real Fans Podcast, here for another week. I'm your boy, Gabe. I'm hosting over here. That's Julian. Julian said what's up to
And
you.
your cat making an appearance as soon as you say what's up, boy, he pops out.
You got a special guest.
He heard the process going on, so gotta show up and show face.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, Gabe's sitting in front of a window, and as soon as he started the intro, a cat popped out behind his
Oh,
mouth.
man.
Now it's gone.
What's the name of your cat?
It's Cosmo. Black.
Cosmo. Special guest Cosmo here to talk about, I don't know, whatever cats participate in, chasing mice around. How that league looking.
That one.
That's JoJo, by the way, over there. Julian, you had an experience. You went you talked about it earlier. We didn't want to talk about it because we're going to talk about it on the podcast. You went earlier to St. Pete this week. Can you talk about your experience, what you saw, anything you observed in your sports experience?
Yeah, so this past weekend, pretty fun. So for you guys who don't know, I've actually recently, over the past year, I became a pretty avid race fan out of nowhere. It's just one of those things. I just had friends who got into it, and then they kind of introduced it to me, and I'm like, this shit's actually kind of exciting. So I went to my first race. I did the whole race day weekend for qualifying and race day Saturday and Sunday.
What race day? Race day
for IndyCar series, it is the St. Petersburg is the first race of the year of the season. IndyCar and Formula One are the two main ones I watch, but Formula One's so expensive, so I don't know. But wanted to check out IndyCar. It's kind of like that tier just below F1. And it's only in America, but still has a massive fan base. It was about 80,000 people there for the weekend. It was a packed house. The weather was perfect. My favorite driver for the McLaren team got second place. He was in first place, but then lost the first place in the last two laps, which really sucked. But nonetheless, he still got on the podium.
He folded.
Yeah, basically. But due to the strategy and stuff, but it's too much to get into. But anyway, I actually ended up getting a jersey. You guys just saw Aero McLaren.
I was wondering what you were wearing.
My boy, Prato.
So did you Google what the best racers were, and then you kind of picked one there, and you're like, I'm gonna stick with this guy?
No, I just started watching it, and and as I followed and learned more about it, I kind of watched interviews and press conferences of a lot of the other athletes and stuff. I just kind of pick this guy. Because I'm a fan of the McLaren team on F1. So since they had an IndyCar team, I kind of naturally gravitated towards them. I kind of like what they do there. And then I like Pato O'Ward. He's super entertaining guy. He's only 23 or something like that from Mexico. Dude's hilarious. He's just a really likable guy, and he could be a future F1 driver soon. So kind of just started gravitating towards that. And man, the race was awesome. It was the cars are so loud. Bro, seeing that shit in person is wild. TV just doesn't do it justice. It's just holy shit. It's honestly really cool to then because we got a really dope spot. So I didn't pay for any seats. I just did a standing section, but we got kind of elevated. And we're right by a straight. So you could see all the cars make a slight turn, and they're coming down the straight, which was the perfect spot because you would see people pass each other because that's a big passing zone.
Okay.
And it was just super exciting, just and then you get that final turn, and it was just super exciting to kind of see that. And it was a really good race. So even if you guys aren't race fans, if you guys live near a track, and I recommend checking out IndyCar. It's a growing sport due to the success of Drive to Survive and all that on Netflix. It's really grown the sport here. I mean, look, it brought me in, and I'm not the only one. It's super exciting. So check it out if you guys have a race near you.
I was going to ask because, we have, I'm in Austin here, so we have COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, and I know they do F1. I think, F1 is starting up again. I think they have the next race in Las Vegas. Also, Julian, do you have any interest in going to the Miami race? Because I know last time we talked about it because it's a brand new.
Yeah, I was gonna better start fundraising now.
Yeah.
I want to, but it's so expensive. It's so expensive. Yeah, obviously COTA is a big one of the most not historic, but one of the most popular racetracks in America. They don't just do Formula One there; they do a bunch of different races.
Yeah, they do
NASCAR does one there.
Yeah.
Indy, I think, used to go there, but they haven't gone there in a while due to contract. All these tracks have contracts with the series, But I mean, I would love to go, but the shit's just so expensive. I had a friend that went to Austin. He said it's a little cheaper, but it's still just like hundreds of dollars. But I mean, just for one day. Yeah, just for one day versus like Indy and Las Vegas. Yeah, well, Vegas is the new track this year, but they're gonna do it at night. Versus like Indy, you get that same excitement, pretty much the same speed. It's a little bit different. And you actually are starting to get a lot of Formula One drivers coming to IndyCar, like ones who couldn't necessarily make it. But so you're getting a lot of big names. So like that's why like the attendances and stuff are like really shooting up. And it's super dope. Like I recommend anybody to check it. It's actually coming out with a new series too called 100 Days to Indy, which is like the classic Indy 500. I'm sure all you've got, even if you don't know racing, everybody knows Indy 500. It's like one of the biggest racing events. It's like they get the milk, they get the glass milk, and they like pour it on their head or drink it. It's like this legendary course. Yeah. It's a part of the Triple Crown, which is Monaco in Formula One, the Indy 500, and then another track called Le Mans, which is like known for the 24-hour race. So no one has ever won it except for like one guy. Anyways,
yeah, I was gonna say. Well, I used to live in Daytona. So you're talking about the opening day race, the Daytona 500 would open NASCAR, and I used to live by over there, so I can hear. Like I used to live close enough that I can hear them like practicing, doing their practice runs.
Yeah.
But I've never been to NASCAR. People say it's fun as hell to go into the middle. You go into the middle of the field, and it's like a crazy party. People have their RVs and stuff. Everybody's drinking. I've never been.
Yeah.
The ultimate tailgate.
Yeah, I've never been. I almost went to Homestead this past year, which is the final race of the year, but I ended up not going. And like NASCAR and IndyCar is cheap too. Like for the weekend, I went for like $75, which was not bad. So, and yeah, you got to see everything, and it's just high quality
you're
too.
Put it on your list this year to go to Homestead.
Yeah,
probably. I heard that you can go to those and get tickets for that for like $15. Because the thing is, these racing events, they see so many people. Like it's like 100,000 people like on race day. Like even Daytona, I think, is like over 100,000 people because it's just this massive plot of land. And the St. Pete one is nice, right in the middle of downtown St. Pete, on the water. And St. Pete too, very underrated city. That city was beautiful. I was actually, when I went there, I was shocked at how nice that town was. St.
Your first time over there?
Yeah, I went there once as like a kid, but I don't really remember it, so I'm kind of counting this as my first time. And like, man, a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants. University of South Florida, St. Petersburg is right there in downtown, so super, super nice city. Like a ton of stuff going on. Very lively downtown. It kind of surprised me.
All right, let's get into it, man, because there's a lot of sports news going on. Kind of. I'm not gonna say we're in the doldrums. It's just the NFL's popping off. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so we're getting live news as things happen. Probably the biggest news that happened a day or two ago. Derrick Carr, rumored to be with the Jets. I heard some rumors about Carolina, but he signed with the New Orleans Saints. And I'll go to Julian first. How do you feel about Derrick Carr? Do you feel like this is a good fit for the New Orleans Saints? Derrick Carr signing with them. Can he revitalize his career?
I mean, maybe. I guess we'll see. Like, I never really thought Derrick Carr was the issue in Las Vegas / Oakland. I think the team as a whole never just had enough to like take him over the edge. I never really found him to be the problem, though. Then again, like you always expected him, if you're going to have a guy to win a Super Bowl for you, like he has to go above and beyond. But I was seeing people like kind of compare his stats, and it was pretty similar to like Matt Stafford. And then Matt Stafford went to Los Angeles and won a Super Bowl. Then again, the New Orleans Saints right now aren't where the Los Angeles Rams were 2 years ago. So I don't know. With this whole new like coaching staff and relearning the system, I don't know too much about the coaching staff in New Orleans. But I mean, to me, it's one of those things time will tell. I'm not entirely sure. Like, it could be a place where he dies, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Because I'm honestly not sure. I think it can go either way.
I mean, I think they had too far beyond expectations for him over there in Las Vegas. They had a lot going on with the team, a lot of distractions. outside of that, we all know what's been going on in Vegas, obviously with the coaching and everything. And he was in one of the toughest divisions, I would say, in the NFL, facing the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, twice a year. And I don't know, man, like everyone needs a fresh start, right? Just like, give the Baker Mayfield treatment. Glad he has an opportunity. The only thing is he had those high expectations because he got one of the best receivers in the game in Adams. So you expected them to do more, in which Adams had a great season. His numbers were there, catches, yards, touchdowns. So that wasn't an issue. And I think there's potential in New Orleans. Hopefully Kamara has a bounce back season. I know they have a new coach over there.
Dennis Allen is the coach.
Yeah.
So,
former Raiders coach from 2012 to 2014. So he's actually going back to Derrick Carr's first coach, back in those early Oakland Raiders days. I just now realized that he's the coach over there. I didn't realize he was in New Orleans since 2015 as a defensive coordinator and just got promoted to head coach this past year. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, like Julian said, man, time will tell. I don't think it doesn't automatically make them a playoff contender this next season, but I'll give them 2 seasons to get accustomed to everything going on over there.
I like Derek Carr. I think this is a good change for him. I think he maxed out everything he could do with the Raiders. Every year was like, are the Raiders for real? Are they for real? Because you see flashes. They the regular season they play big throws, big games, win by a lot, and then the postseason everything falls apart. As far as Derek Carr, I don't hate him. I think he still has stuff to give to the game. So I like to change the scenery for him. I do as far as the receiving core, this guy Chris Olave, that's a very exciting player to play along with. They have Callaway.
He was a monster last year.
Yeah,
he played really well.
He's a nice little player. So it will be I do want to see what the Saints do. I'm not going to pick them like, oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. But it will be. I think it's going to be an interesting storyline going forward with Derek Carr. I don't think he's washed. I think he still has years to play. I think he can return to the Derek Carr that we know. So it's more like a kind of a wait and see. Like I kind of like this. Like I heard there was rumors about him going to the Jets. All this talk, but now I guess the Jets are waiting for Aaron Rodgers or whatever. But I think Derek Carr. I think he can be okay. A bit better than average. I think he can play.
Yeah, I think New Orleans has a really solid foundation. I thought their defense played really well at times last season. Like you said, you still got Kamara. Who knows what you're going to get out of him? Olave is a good young wide receiver piece. And then obviously right now with everything going on, Michael Thomas, who's been gone out of the league for a while, at one point was the leading receiver in the league. I think in, what was it, like 2010? I'm not 2020 or like 2021, one of those years, not too long ago. I'm curious to see what they end up doing with him, if he's going to end up leaving or not. Oh, it was 2019. He had the most receptions in a single season, 149, because he was a slant machine. I remember that year. But I'm curious to see what happens with Michael Thomas if he ends up staying around and he still maintains that level that he did a couple years ago, even though that was a few years ago. I mean, they could be a sneaky good team. Then again, that division is terrible. Tom Brady's officially gone. The Panthers,
we don't know about Tom Brady.
Probably he's gone. Even if he does come back, he needs to be gone. The Panthers don't really have a quarterback. I mean, if they do, they're going to be a rookie draft pick. And then who am I missing? The Falcons probably going to draft a quarterback as well. So it's a pretty easy division, and I think it's for the taking. And I think New Orleans and the front office saw that. So it's like, get a guy who can go in there, win the division. He's still relatively young. How old is Derrick Carr?
Damn, I just had his whole thing pulled up.
Damn it, how old is Derrick Carr?
Yo, I'm going to guess here.
Hold on.
31.
31.
Oh, my bad. He's 31, so he's still young, man. He's 31. Still got years left. He can play at a high level for at least the next 5 years. And I mean, honestly, probably even longer than that. So, I mean,
yo, it's crazy, right? Even with the Raiders last year, they started off terrible, and then string together a few games, man, and I ended up doing better than the Broncos. weren't they like 1-7, 2 something like that early on? And I don't know, man. It's rough start.
For the Raiders?
Yeah, last season.
Yeah, they were not good towards the end of the year. I mean, really at all. They didn't really pick up steam at all. I mean, they got to the point where they benched Derrick Carr, even though, honestly, I think the biggest issue that was happening in Las Vegas was Josh McDaniels. I don't know if that guy is a head coach or not. He might just go back to Daddy Belichick, and after this next year, who knows? But yeah.
But speaking of, you mentioned, Julian, you mentioned the Atlanta Falcons earlier. Former Atlanta Falcon Calvin Ridley has been reinstated from his suspension. Obviously, he got suspended earlier in the year for betting. He was in Florida. He was totally injured betting in Florida. And, whatever.
In a game he wasn't playing in.
A game he wasn't playing in because he was injured. He was off. But reinstated. How do you feel about Calvin Ridley going forward? Because now, he's on your Jags, Julian. And I'm going to get your word first, your opinion. How do you feel about Calvin Ridley going forward?
This is probably, like I said it when it happened, this is the biggest wide receiver trade, like best trade for a wide receiver that I've seen in a very long time. They only gave up a 5th rounder for him. Granted, he hasn't played this whole past year, which is kind of a big deal in the NFL. But he's still young, and it wasn't like he got injured. He got, in my opinion, wrongfully suspended for a year. The fact that Deshaun Watson had all that bullshit and he got, 10 games? But then Calvin Ridley, who betted on his own team in a game he wasn't playing in a 9-leg and a 13-leg parlay, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, come on. Like, are you serious? And I get with, like, states getting more legalized with sports gambling, the NFL is going to want to, like, put more emphasis on players because a lot of people were saying, oh, he only got the suspension because he was the first one to ever get it, which may be the case. But just, to kind of set an example. But this is an incredible trade. If he can even get half to what he was with that squad right now with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram just got franchise tagged, Travis Etienne, that offense is going to look scary. And now Trevor Lawrence finally coming into his own. It's going to be a second year in Doug Peterson's system. Like, he should be an easy plug-and-play fit. That was the one thing that Jags were missing, were number one wide receiver. And when Calvin Ridley was last he was playing, he was a number one wide receiver, a top 5 wide receiver in the league. I don't know if he gets back to those numbers, but even if he can even produce half of it and get at least 700, 800 yards, that's big money production for a 5th-round pick that, honestly, you can throw that away. Like, how many 5th-round picks actually end up working out? So, I mean, this is awesome that he finally got reinstated by the league. So, man, it's going to be exciting year.
I mean, I think he's an exciting little player. I'm looking at his stats. He has 800 yards, 820, 860, 1300 with 10, 7, and 9 touchdowns the last 3 years. Obviously, last year, the last time he played was 2001 off an injury, and then he got suspended. So, like you said, if he can reproduce some of those numbers, like, he's going to be a nice little player. Like, he was like one of these guys that, like, a flex guy that on my fantasy team I would try to pick up because, he's able to produce.
His last full season, he got 1,300 yards, close to 1,400 yards. So, and that was his last full season.
He's going to come back. Made a big deal, this whole situation, right? Because we're talking about a good player with a lot of talent. And, the league had to set an example of not to do what he did. You know what I mean? So, like, players get comfortable. And, they obviously had to set the tone with that punishment. But I believe it's because he was a relevant player in the first place.
And
he was the first, I think, too, yeah.
He's coming in. He's going to be 29 years old by the end of the season. So, kind of in that mid-range. I think we'll see if he can make some noise. Listen.
I mean, regardless, he definitely adds value to the Jaguars and what they're trying to do next season regardless. So, like Julian said, for a 5th-round pick, that's a great pickup.
Also, too, side note, Trent Baalke was pulling off some fucking magic. Jags, they restructured like 5 people's deals to where alternate assigning, because we were like $30 million over the cap. They just made a ton of deals with contract extensions, but with fat signing bonuses, so it doesn't cover to the count against the cap. So like a man that we all dressed up as clowns as for that end of that 2021 season, he's actually been making some serious moves. And Shad Khan putting his money where his mouth is. I mean, they put about $40 million in signing bonus, somewhere around there, which is insane.
All right, let's talk about another story. Derrick Henry, obviously a big boulder, man. He's every year is a highlight of him stiff arming somebody every week. I feel like I see all the highlights. Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Is he going to be traded? Because I've heard maybe Julian wants to bring this up with trade rumors, but I'm hearing that they're not trying to shop him in Tennessee. He's 29 years old. He has $16 million cap, which is the second highest among running backs. I'll go to you, Julian. How do you feel about Derrick Henry as a player going forward? I mean, he's a little bit older. 29 for a running back. That's old. You're old.
Man, I feel like for the past 2 years, I'm like, how much longer can he keep it up with? How much longer can he keep this up? And then the next year he drops like 1,500 yards. Like I've been saying this for like 2 to 3 years. I'm like, how long can he keep this up with? How long can he keep it? I don't know. $16 million is a big hit for a team to pick up on for a running back. But I can also see the side of Derrick Henry but I could also see the side of Derrick Henry like, man, I don't want to be a part of this sorry ass team. Like the Tennessee Titans are going to suck next year. They're going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Like that rookie that they just drafted, Malik Willis, or what was it? Whatever his name was. We're probably never going to see that man's never going to touch the field again. He was terrible. They're going to probably end up drafting out of this class if possible. Tannehill's done. They've lost Tennessee's been having a fire sale. They got rid of Bud Dupree. They got rid of a lot of people. So I'm not entirely surprised if they can, if they want to trade Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry also wants to trade. Because one, I think Titans are just trying to hit the reset button, get rid of all that money and free that cap space. $60 million is a huge hit for a running back. I mean, you can get a top tier offensive lineman for that money. But the problem is getting somebody who want to take on that contract. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's probably going to play it out unless they can work some magic over there, with some like massaging the cap. But I think both sides want it. I just don't think they realistically can, because it's just too much money for, like you said, a 29-year-old running back who's been taking, even though he's massive, he's been taking hits.
He's strong.
And
he's
how
strong.
And how
More strong.
And you have to ask the question, how much longer can you take that? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And if you're going to go to a good team doesn't have the cap space to put in $16 million on a running back.
I definitely agree with you guys saying. Right, I agree with y'all, but have we seen regression yet?
I mean,
we're trying to predict regression, but have we seen it? He's proven us wrong every single season. Exactly. So, with other players, right, and how the league is, right, you can kind of have this sense of doubt. But we're talking how he's performing right now at his age, right? Let's say, forget the number, right? Age is just a number. Look at his numbers. Or do you still think it's too risky to pick that up, even with his numbers being so low?
He's a big guy. He runs hard. He's a fucking linebacker playing running back, essentially. I mean, at some point, injury is going to be a factor, right? He did sit out a couple games, but he did come back. Production levels, I mean, how as a team, how long do you project him to continue this number? Like, you're like, oh, you had the best year. It's like, can you do that for like 10 years? Probably not. Like, can you be the best for 10 years? Like, you know what I mean? So as far as projections, and with the Tennessee Titans, I agree with Julian. The Titans, their backups, the guys they have behind them, are a bunch of no names, nobodies you never ever heard of. He is their star player. Ryan Tannehill, him, and then who else? So
that's why I think it's worth the risk for another team to go out and try to get him, especially if they're trying to make a run in the playoffs. He'd be a huge asset to any other team.
Yeah,
that needs a running back.
Yeah, but he comes a free agent in 2024. So, but I don't see a team because most likely if you're a good team, you're pretty tight on salary cap. I just don't see a team picking up that much money for a running back. Like, that just seems crazy. And like, you can always draft a guy who's going to play well. Like $16 million. how many top tier teams can afford that on a running back?
Well, if a
like
team
you could
picks
do
him
it
up
on a receiver or a lineman, or a defensive player, but like on a running back.
If a team picks him up, it's going to be a rental, right? Because if it's a end of a contract year, it's going to be a rental. We're going to just rent you for whatever, 10 games or whatever the trade deadline is.
Yeah, but you still got to have the space to pick it up.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's got to be a team. Because I'm thinking of like now, Christian McCaffrey getting picked up by from Carolina to San Francisco. That was an amazing move. Obviously the way the season ended, a whole ton of injuries on that game. But Christian McCaffrey has been productive. He's not only was he productive in Carolina, he was productive in San Francisco, and he was one of the guys that led him to the playoffs. So you're right. It has to be a team that has the space, Julian. But I think he can still play. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to project him like, oh, he's going to get a 10-year contract or something like that. That'll be crazy to insinuate.
No one's going to sign him long term for like 2-3 seasons.
If you want to rent him for a season, maybe some teams might want to rent him.
Okay, I'm actually reading here. So here I'll list off like all the people that Titans got rid of. By the way, they got rid of Taylor Lewan, Robert Woods, Zach Cunningham, Randy Bullock, Bud Dupree. Dupree alone freed up like $10 million in cap space. Tannehill's still on the team. I'm curious to see what they do. So and this is, by the way, the rumors are he's getting shopped at the combine right now. The Titans would pick up $6 million in that cap space if they're able to trade him, which would make $10 million based on whoever would to pick him up. So that's not that bad, I guess. Because if you're able to, if the Titans will cover that $6 million on that cap hit, then a team only has to take 10. I guess if you have that space, you do it.
It's a rental.
But if it was 16, if the team had to take up 16 entirely, then that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. So what you just read, it's definitely realistic and could happen. And I agree with Gabe. Definitely gonna be a rental to make a Super Bowl push. Like someone's gonna take that. Like it's just wasted talent sitting on the Titans.
Listen,
like, yeah, we're talking numbers, we're talking money, but
if somebody's desperate enough, if you're close enough, you're like that team that's like, a player away,
like the Broncos.
Listen, you could be LA and
Broncos one player away.
Hey, listen,
you can be LA and go all in, throw all your chips on the table, and get this guy, and he'll be
like the Dolphins. Dolphins, all they need is a running back.
We've improved. I'm not gonna say this is the best running back core, but we've improved. Also, there's rumors that Chubb might be available. I don't know. Tyreek Hill is talking about, hey, come over here. Anyways,
Big Chubb.
We're not gonna talk about the Dolphins. Not
so
today.
Okay. Where do you see him going? Like just quick pick. Where would you see him going?
Man, see, I can't. I gotta do more research. I gotta do fucking the cap. I gotta do.
Just where do you want him to go? Don't worry about the cap. Where do you want him to go?
High level digging there for Gabe.
See, I feel like
if he goes, like, hold up, dude. I need like 2 weeks to prep for this. Like,
I gotta do more research on it.
You need a pie chart.
It's gotta be a team. Like I said, it's gotta be close. A team that's close enough that like they need running back help. But by the way, running backs are super replaceable. They get damaged. They get injuries all the time.
I got my pick.
They usually two teams. Julian, I'm gonna go with you first because I'm just rambling. I don't have a
pick. I'll give him a pick. Buffalo Bills.
You know what?
In that cold weather.
Singletary has been very bad. I don't know if he's still there. I don't know his contract situation.
Yeah, they have no run game. It snows in Buffalo. You need to pound the rock in those cold weather games.
Just run hard through the middle. Stiff arm.
And you see, and that's exactly my thought process, right? I'm saying that you have this huge talent, and then you have a team who's in need of just something extra to get them to past that level, and it's the Buffalo Bills. That's exactly the team I was thinking, right? So the last few years, they came up short. How many close games have they lost to? It came down to last possession, or it came down to, one-score game, and they just can't make it happen. Like, there's only so much that Josh Allen can do throwing to one or two receivers down the field, and they need to fix that run game.
You know what, Julian? That's a really good answer. I'm looking at the depth chart.
Thank you.
I see Singletary, James Hook, Naheem Hines. That I could see it if they want to give away, because they're a win now. Last year, the Bills were win now. They're all about winning. I could possibly see.
Honestly, them or maybe
I don't know if the money
the
works,
Dolphins. Like, I'm not even joking about the Dolphins thing. Like, I think that could be a realistic. I mean, I don't know if you guys got the space for it, but you would know better than I. But
I don't see the Dolphins.
So
he's a good player. He's a nice
that
player.
needs a running back.
He's a nice player.
Playoff
It sounds like you don't want him.
Listen, we need a healthy quarterback. That's what the fuck we need in the Dolphins.
You need a quarterback.
Hey, I'm saying Tom is out there. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Tom's out there.
He's done.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson because today came out the news that he got franchise tag today, so that's brand new news. The Ravens franchise tagged him for I think it was like 32 million. So that means that the Ravens have the rights. They retain his rights, so he can go out and talk to other teams, and teams give him many offers. But if the Ravens can match, they can keep Lamar Jackson. So I don't know how you guys feel about Lamar Jackson because there's a lot of rumors about him. I heard about him going to the Jets, maybe come to Miami. Miami might be interested. Jojo, I'll go to you first. Lamar Jackson, how do you feel about him? You know, I feel like he's going to be signing for a big ass contract. So the fact that they franchise tag him, like they're trying to retain him. How do you feel about Lamar Jackson with the Ravens?
Listen, man, if they really wanted to keep him, they would have just paid the man the money, right? So there's no, we're trying to hold on to him. Nah, they just want leverage. The team just wants leverage, right? I think he already paid his dues. He's proved himself. Unfortunately, he got injured this last season, and they were trying to rush his comeback to see if he could prove himself again in the playoffs. You know what this man can do. Like, he's an MVP winner. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a Super Bowl yet, but it is a team sport. And there's one team we forgot that was kind of out shopping for him. What was rumored was the Falcons, and they actually closed that.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So I mean, sucks for the Falcons, man. They should have look where they're at, bro. Like, zero contention. I don't know who they're gonna get. They're in need of a massive rebuild, and they should have. If I was a Falcons fan and you're telling me we gave up on trying to get Lamar Jackson, generational talent, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, I've been crazy.
But but I mean, overall, franchise tagging him, I guess, gives you another buffer year, right, to try to see what he can do. Which what more is there? Yeah. Give the man the money. That's my opinion.
And he's asking what I've heard is Lamar Jackson is asking for. He was asking for the Deshaun Watson contract. He wants big money, guaranteed, all this stuff. Julian, I'll go to you because I heard the Atlanta rumors, but I saw Jay Glazer was on Twitter. He's like, I don't see Atlanta happening. Julian, how do you feel about signing a big money contract to Lamar Jackson? Like, is he that great?
I mean, I think it's scary. Like, I don't do we realistically can expect Lamar Jackson to be a top 5 quarterback year in and year out? Like, yeah, he wasn't this past year, and you're going to pay him Deshaun Watson money, and you will already sell. We're not talking about it's not on the docket, but Lamar, Deshaun Watson, that contract's they're already trying to fix that because that shit is ridiculous. Yeah. Cleveland just came out saying that they're trying to restructure it and everything. I don't know. I don't know if you give him a blank check, and we obviously see that in the Ravens. We saw them in the Falcons. People are not willing to pay what he's asking for because of his injury history. He's 1-3 playoff record, which I don't like counting playoff records against players. I don't think that's fair.
That bad.
I don't. I just don't like. I think there's too many factors that go into a playoff record. It's playoff. Yeah. But the fact that he's still not an elite thrower, in a position
we say
but that's the thing. He's just not. Do you want to pay a guy $50+ million a year on a guy who isn't even in the top 5?
Yeah, but his all throwing in the league and his impact on the team overall, their win percentage. Listen, last season, how many games did the Baltimore defense give up?
I mean, I'm just
Lamar Jackson had 5 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdown passes. He had touchdowns, and they gave up. So those are things we're not considering before he even got injured. Every year they say he can't pass, but he gets better. His numbers are going up, and they're still comparing him to, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, pocket passers. That's not his style.
When was Lamar Jackson drafted? 2018. He's been in the league 5 years now. I'm pretty sure it's 2018.
Okay.
Are you going
number 1 pick, 32? He got drafted in 2018. 32, first round.
Yeah, so this is going to be his 5th season. Yeah, his 5th season. I mean, like, all I'm saying is, like, obviously, I'm just talking about what's going through the heads of these front office people. Yeah. And I kind of get it. Like, I get it. Like, as a fan, it's like, man, do you want to tie up that much money? If you can structure the contract in a salary cap friendly way and maybe give him big fat signing bonuses, I don't give a fuck about that. That coming out the owner's pocket. But, like, if this man's going to take a $50 million, like, cap hit for the next fucking, like, 6-7 years, like, is that worth it? Like, I don't know. Like, and I can see the conflict that the Ravens have been having the past 2 years, and why you're seeing teams like Atlanta, they see how much that is, and they're like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna pull out. I'd rather take my chances with the young guy who, and this is a really good quarterback class coming in. Like, a lot of people are rating a lot of these college quarterbacks pretty high, and Atlanta's going to get a pretty high draft pick. So it's like, do we save the money, rebuild the team with draft picks and smaller signings? And I mean, look at the Jaguars, for example. And the Chargers. You have guys on rookie contracts, and you can now spend all this money to, like, get out talent and get the best out of it. Versus if you start off, if you're a bad team like Atlanta, and then you pick up Lamar Jackson, now you're putting yourself in a deeper hole to where how long term can you get these guys? And I think that's the worry. And then the Ravens too. I think the Ravens are suffering from. The Ravens got a lot of veterans on that team that are making a lot of money. So I don't know, man. Like, I see the dilemma.
But I kind of see the dilemma, but not.
Like, do you pay him more than Josh Allen? And that's what it seems like he's asking for. Would you take Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Well, why? He's an MVP winner. Like, he's proved himself. And like I said, like, you know, aside from his injuries and the Baltimore defense, which is crazy, right? We never really talk bad about Baltimore defense, but we've seen it this past season. And how many games? Bro, they gave up a game to your team because of bad defense.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but, I mean,
you know,
but I mean, I would also say, like, on a head-to-head match, like, in that game, Trevor Lawrence
if Lamar was
Lamar
playing
Jackson.
that game, do you guys think you would win that game?
Lamar did play that game. I think that was, like, his final game. Didn't he play that whole game? I think he went out the next week. Did he not go out the next week?
I can't.
The comeback game.
I thought Lamar played that. I knew he played part of that. At least he was in that game. I don't know if he got injured that game or if it was the game after. It was around that time though. But I could have sworn Lamar played that game.
Lamar was 16 for 32 against the Jaguars.
Yeah, he played that full game.
For 37. And the Ravens lost 27-28.
There you go.
And the Ravens had the lead.
Exactly my point.
And they lost the game. And he went. What is it, Gabe? 16 for 32.
Yeah. 250.
He went 50% completion.
250, one touchdown.
All I'm saying is I see the dilemma. It's like, do you want to pay this guy Deshaun Watson money? Is he worth Deshaun Watson money?
I mean,
and I know you guys want to say MVP this, MVP that.
Was Deshaun worth Deshaun Watson?
No,
money?
I didn't. I was never high on Deshaun Watson.
That's what I'm saying, though. But, like, my man's got paid. So, like, I don't understand.
Here's my question.
And also at the time when Deshaun Watson got that money, he was undoubtedly a top 3 quarterback in the league at the time.
Bro, he put a string of a few good games. He was young. Was his first 3 seasons?
No, he was a Pro Bowler that season, and he played and he led it to the playoffs in the second round and barely lost to Kansas City.
But was he an MVP like Lamar Jackson?
I think he played at the MVP level.
Most valuable player. Lamar Jackson was.
I mean, if you're just going to hold up MVPs, then I can't debate this.
You're talking about getting paid. Like, you're talking about top quarterbacks.
When did he win the MVP? He was MVP in what, 2019?
18 and 21.
It's contract time. So listen, you've proved yourself.
It was
what I'm saying.
I think it was 19 and 21.
Listen, we're talking about he's not a top quarterback.
He got 2 MVPs? Yeah, he got one MVP.
Listen,
yeah, he was. But what year was he an MVP?
What I'm saying is that he's proved himself.
2019,
and he's not a fluke, right? He might not be the perfect pocket passer that everyone loves, but he's proved himself as a quarterback, clearly winning an MVP, which obviously is not everything, right? It's not. But I'm just saying that.
My question with the Ravens is like
to get money.
My question with the Ravens is like, what's your second option? If you don't want to keep your MVP, what's your second option?
You got a Pro Bowler on the bench.
Okay. All right. Listen. I think the Ravens are trying to keep him for cheap. I don't know how long he's going to stay with the Ravens. But them tagging him with the franchise, I think they're trying to keep him on the cheap. I think, unless they make moves for Atlanta, because if you have picks, you've got a lot of picks, you're trying to restructure, rethink. I think the Ravens should, because, like you said, they have a lot of veterans, Julian, and they probably should restructure. They probably should give them away and get something in return. But like, if you're the Ravens? What's your second option? Okay, you get rid of Lamar Jackson. Who else do you have? You want Tyler Huntley? That's your next answer.
Pro Bowler, man, Pro Bowler. Okay. No, here's what I think it is. I think they're clearly okay with that. What is the franchise tag price? They're clearly
32
okay
million,
with that.
32 point something.
All right, 32 million at a projected 45 million. So they're okay. That was a weird sound. Okay, they were okay with that price. So you know what? I think they're at the point. If somebody's willing to pay more than that, then they're like, you know what? So be it. You can have them.
Yeah. All right.
And I think that's what it is.
Let's transition over to let's get out of NFL. Let's transition over to the NBA, because there's we're in the middle of the NBA season. There's like 20 games left, less than 20 games left. Things are happening. I think we got to talk about the biggest story of the year. I have a huge rant, but I want to talk to Julian. I don't know how much. Let's talk about Ja Morant, because he's been in the news recently. He's got suspended 2 games indefinitely. They say 2 games, but indefinitely. And I think they're supposed to play. As we're recording this today, they're supposed to play LA, and we saw the drama that happened last time they played the LA Lakers. There was a whole fight with Shannon Sharp and shit. Julian, how much of this Ja Morant story do you have? Because I have a whole rant. I just want to know what you know.
I know absolutely nothing. Talking about 5 years old.
Oh wow.
Okay,
I have
Ja
no
Morant.
idea. I haven't kept up with NBA at all. So
Julian's in the dark, bro.
Oh, okay. Listen, the last 6 months of Ja Morant stories have not been good. By the way, I want to preface this. I like Ja Morant. I think Ja Morant is exciting. I've liked him since last year. Exciting player, explosive. Anytime he plays, I want to watch him. He reminds me of D Wade, not like physically or the game, but just kind of that excitement of like a young player. Like, oh man, this guy can fucking play basketball and he's exciting. I want to watch him. That is how he reminds me of Dwayne. That's the preface. All right, Ja Morant. If you don't know, Ja Morant plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, Julian.
Yeah, I know who
young
he is.
player. Okay, you know who he is.
I don't know the story.
All right, so here's the thing. So
I still know the story.
I heard a Twitter rumor that he
plays basketball.
He plays basketball. I heard a Twitter rumor that like he beat up like a kid, and they're like, the quote was, "Am I gonna have to do it to him?" Before he beat up this kid, allegedly, quotes. I might have to do it. Allegedly, he beat up this kid at his house. He hosts basketball games of local kids in Memphis. Beat him up. That was just a rumor. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't affirm what happened. Wasn't there.
Wait a second.
Don't know. But there's a police report.
I did hear.
There's a police report. There's allegations. Okay. Also, there's allegations that came out in NBA News. So this is the past 3 months. We're in 2023. We're in March. So the past 3 months, allegations that after they played a game with Indiana, the Indiana Pacers, that the Indiana Pacers were going to the airport, they were just leaving the game. Allegations that people were in a car and lasers were pointed at the bus containing the Indiana Pacers. Don't know if Ja Morant was in the car. Don't know if it's people associated with Ja Morant. I wasn't there. Over the past weekend, Ja Morant played in Denver. They lost to the Nuggets. And he's in a strip club, waving a gun. After this, Adam Silver obviously suspends Ja Morant. Now, my whole take on Joe.
The gun part was that it was on his Instagram Live.
He posted it on Instagram.
I actually I remember hearing about that. Like as soon as you're halfway through, I'm like, oh wait a second, he had something with like he was flashing a gun or something.
I don't know if it was him. I don't know if people were with him. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't a witness. But what I was a witness
You
to
weren't at the
was
strip club game? I thought you're always at the strip club.
Listen, don't talk about my business like that. I don't go on Instagram Live and just post my shit out there. But listen, so in the last 3 months of 2023, I've heard allegations of him beating up people, and allegedly with this little 17-year-old kid that got beat up allegedly, a gun was brandished. Then you hear the story about Indiana Pacers laser, what we assume to be gun lasers being pointed at. So I can't prove none of that. I wasn't there. You're innocent until proven guilty. I can't prove none of that. John Morant, you were on Instagram Live. What happened?
Why do they assume it was gun laser? Are they just like trying to put two and two together?
If a laser's being pointed at you when you're driving away and you have incidents in the NBA, I think you can't assume. Again, I'm not a witness. You can't assume things.
I mean, I don't know if it was just like because I've seen games where people are just pointing lasers at players.
Oh, this is the bus. I wasn't sure they're driving away.
One of those.
The game is done, and they're just driving away.
Oh.
Anyways, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about any allegations, any stories. I wasn't there. I'm not a witness. I wasn't in the police report. John Morant, I saw you on Instagram Live in a club waving a gun. Now, by itself, not illegal. It's not illegal to go to a strip club. It's not illegal to own a gun in the United States. But when this is like the third gun story that you've had, I saw you. I'm a witness to you on Instagram Live. On your account, it was your camera, your phone. You're on there. That's you with a gun. It looks really bad. By itself, nothing. But in context of all the stories that have been going on in the past month, the past year, it's really bad. Again, I'm a fan of John Morant. I like his basketball. I think he's an exciting player. And the fact that he's being associated with this stuff is pretty bad. It's pretty bad for the league. Because I don't want to see the escalation. Everything I hear about John Morant comes from a pretty good place where he grew up. From what I hear, he went to private school. He has both his parents in his life.
Oh yeah, generally, I saw the picture of his like high school photo or something, and people were roasting his ass. I did see that. It was something.
This guy's a gangster. His real name is Clarence. Clarence's parents have a really good marriage. All right. Everything I hear about John Morant, he's a pretty good kid. I like him. I like him as a kid. But the stuff that you're projecting out, man, there's a quote. There's a quote that says, "Keep the main thing the main thing." John Morant, you're an excellent basketball player. You're really good at basketball. You're making money right now. You're due to make like $250 million. Like 200 million, 250 million. That's his next contract. When they extend him, he's gonna make $250 million. John Morant, keep the main thing the main thing. Play basketball. You're doing this street shit of like, oh, I'm just gonna be so. There's a lot of gun stories around John Morant, and I just hope that they can keep away from that shit, right? Any other NBA player, any other NBA star, how many other videos of LeBron James have you seen of him in a strip club with a gun?
The only other story that we might know that blew up was Gilbert Arenas, right? Way back in the locker room.
That's it. Name it.
Yeah, you need to be respectful in the strip club like James Harden. James Harden is respectful in that strip club.
Plaxico Burress, who shot himself in the leg.
Oh yeah, he shot himself in the foot.
Again,
Gabe,
I'm not.
Since you're a resident strip club expert, can't you like not record? Can't you like?
You're not supposed to. I mean, they're not allowed to. They're not supposed to.
It's illegal, but I know like every strip club, it's like disrespectful to not record.
Anyways, by the way, he's in Colorado, in Denver. They just played a game and they lost, so he's not even in Memphis. All right. So name any other NBA All-Star, any NBA star. Have you ever seen CP3 with a gun in a strip club? No. Have you ever seen, name any other star, Dirk Nowitzki. Have you ever seen Dirk Nowitzki in a strip club with a gun? No. Have you ever?
I don't think I've ever seen him in a strip club.
Hey, we don't know that.
Have you ever seen Dwayne Wade? Have you ever seen Dwayne Wade in the strip club with a gun? Nobody else is doing that.
Over here at Tootsie's, I don't think I've ever seen Wade there. I think he's.
Listen, I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not gonna criticize people for.
Gabe's like, look, I've seen a lot of Miami Heat players at the strip clubs. He's like, I ain't never seen him have as a witness. Gabe's like, I ain't never seen them have.
So here's what I'm saying. The quote is, keep the main thing the main thing. John Morant, you're an excellent player. You're gonna be the face of the league if you can maintain, like, you're a star in the league. you maintain like where you're at, you're gonna be in the league for a long time, and people are gonna like you, gonna love you. There's other shit on the side that has nothing to do with basketball. You're gonna fuck up the bag. You're gonna fumble the bag, because God forbid something we hear a story about massive shooting. Ja Morant shot. Ja Morant in the hospital. How tragic would that be for an exciting player, a young player in the league? You hear some dumb shit like that, like
Bicycle Burris.
Or fucking what's the NFL player, the wide receiver for the Raiders, fucked up his whole life, going 150 miles an hour.
Henry Ruggs, when he got the DUI,
fucked up his whole life. You fucking driving 150 miles an hour, you killed a lady, you killed a dog, your whole life is done. So I can't talk about the allegations of Ja Morant. The shit, I wasn't there. I'm not a witness. I was in the police report. I saw you on Instagram Live. I saw you. That I can confirm. Other shit I can't confirm. So I hope Ja Morant can like clean his shit up and keep the main thing. Bro, there's people that rely on you, your family, your dad. You know, from what I hear, he's a family guy. He keeps a close circle. The other shit, the extra shit, put that shit to the side. That's not the main thing. That's not what being on the street or being, this guy, God forbid that he gets in, you go to these cities. Guess what? They're playing LA tonight. They're playing the LA Lakers tonight. A lot of gangs in LA. You're hanging around with these elements. These dangerous people, guess what? You're going to be involved in some. Hopefully, you're not involved in things that don't involve basketball, right? You fucking involved with these Crips and Bloods and shit, all these gangs. That's not the main thing. The main thing is you play basketball and be great because you have a future in basketball. That's my rant. I'm done talking. I like the kid. I wish he would do well, and I wish he changes his ways. Ja Morant. Do better, Ja Morant. I like you. I want to like you. But it would be tragic if some crazy shit happens where, like, Ja Morant on a street corner getting shot, multiple shots fired. Ja Morant, three dead. That would be crazy. That would be insane to hear, right? That's not what I expect out of my NBA players. That's my Ja Morant.
Dice game.
Yeah, I don't know. He's associating himself with people that maybe not have his best interests. His basketball interest. The main thing is him playing basketball, and he could be starring that. And if you hang out with other people that are not basketball people, they have nothing to lose. Ja Morant has everything to lose. These other people, they don't make their money off basketball. They probably make their money off of other things that's not basketball, not NBA. And I hope Ja Morant can do better. I'm just saying. That's my Ja Morant thing. Let's switch it over. Let's transition because apparently
more rants.
Let me rant on something else because apparently the Knicks are good. I guess are the Knicks good?
All right, here we go. What? Gabe's Knicks slander. Here we.
The Knicks are good.
Something stirring up in New York City, specifically in Madison Square Garden. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm not gonna jump on the hype train yet, but let's enjoy it while it's here. Knicks on a 9-game win streak. Yes, I said win. 9-game win streak. And they beat a couple notable teams. The last team going off the Boston Celtics. And the game before that, they had a game winner buzzer beater to win. So I mean, they're looking pretty good. Had some acquisitions, before the trade deadline. And one of their best players is not even playing as of late. Brunson, who's been out with an injury, so he hasn't even touched the floor during this win streak. Which is crazy. I don't know what seed they are in the playoffs right now, but they are in
playoffs. 5.
I was going to say they're 4 or 5 right now. Who's the number 4 seed?
They're 5.
Number 4 is Cleveland.
It's the Bucks, Boston, Philadelphia, Cleveland, New York, Brooklyn.
Oh, so look, if playoffs were to start today, I wouldn't mind seeing a Cleveland Knicks, first round matchup here in the playoffs. And that would be quite interesting. You got Donovan Mitchell and crew, showing out in the East.
I think I have higher hopes for Cleveland overall. Like, listen, as a Miami Heat fan, there's nothing worse than a Knicks fan. Okay, this is the hateration, holleration in this desperation.
I mean, you should say as an NBA fan, there's nothing worse than a Knicks fan.
Because listen, hashtag Bing Bong, hashtag whatever.
Back.
The Knicks, you can't rely on the Knicks. They actually, listen, the last couple of years, you have a decent team. You have a nice little team. I'm sick and tired of all this slander they give to Chris Bosh. They said Randall was better than Chris Bosh. He's a better shooter, This man was in a 3-point contest. I don't know how he got there. Anyways.
Everybody shoots
Knicks.
threes.
He built the house with those bricks.
Oh, my God. That's a nice little quote.
All right, look, I think it's safe to say, right? I think it's safe to say that the Knicks are going to make the playoffs this year.
Okay,
we can all agree on that. We can all agree on that. Okay. They're gonna stay in the top 8, even top 10 with this plan. They're gonna make the playoffs, right? In which they didn't last year, and they did. I believe it was the year before, right?
They lost to Trae Young.
Yeah, they lost.
Remember the fuck Trae Young, fuck Trae Young chance.
All right, so I mean the progression upward, and they acquired Jalen Brunson.
Nice player. Nice player.
And even made moves at the trade deadline, right? So, I mean, I think the Knicks, they're going all in, right? They know what's at stake. You know, they're tired of being a poverty franchise, in which they're the richest poverty franchise to ever exist. Because their cap space is unbelievable.
Are you better than the Bucks?
It's just so funny how, like, when people resort to, like, Madison Square Garden history to just... I think it's hilarious that every time somebody like talks about Madison Square Garden, always talks about how the Knicks lost by some player dropping like 50, 60 points. Like, who dropped the most points at Madison Square Garden? Like, that's embarrassing, dude. Like,
bro, I mean, big time players
known as like dropping them. It's just hilarious.
My question about the Knicks is like, are you better than Bucks? Are you better than the Celtics?
That's not even better than the Sixers
in a playoff series. You had the best.
As of right now, absolutely not. Right. I mean, can they even beat the Nets in a 4-game series right now? Can they beat Cleveland in a 7-game series? My bad. You know, that's why I was excited. And I'm like, hey, listen, if Cleveland stays at 4 and they stay at 5, and we see a first round, I think that's a pretty even first round matchup for both teams, right? So the Knicks wouldn't have to face, you know, the Sixers, the Bucks, you know, in the first round, or even the Celtics in the first round.
And, you know, like I said, they have a nice little team. If you can stay in that mid-tier, because that's what I want the Miami Heat to stay. I want to see, if you stay in that mid-tier, you know, that 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, middle of the pack, I think you can get past the first round, maybe to the second round. But then again, like I said, I think the Celtics and the Bucks, they're top tier. They should probably win the East. There's not really a lot of parity in the East.
Question for you real quick, Gabe. So I know how good the Bucks are, and I know how good the Celtics are, right? And in terms of matchups, I don't think the Heat have favorable matchups against either of those two teams. In which the Heat has beaten both those teams in the playoffs in recent years. But obviously, this isn't the same Heat team.
It's not the same team.
Right? But for this season specifically, you guys did beat the 76ers in the past in the playoffs as well. If you were to see the 76ers in the first round, how confident do you feel with your team right now? And against the 76ers specifically, with the way Joel Embiid is playing.
Man, that series would probably go deep. The Miami Heat, they don't play well. They haven't been shooting well. They're not shooting threes at the same rate as they have done in the past. But listen, we're playing the 76ers. James Harden, you cannot beat us, James Harden. They're going to score a lot. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Give me the Heat, though. Give me the Heat versus the Sixers.
6 or 7.
We're going to go 7. We're going to go 7. 7 with the Heat this year. The Heat are not. I got to get to.
So if you had the Sixers first round, Heat winning in 7.
Heat in 7.
I can see that. We all know 76ers fold in the playoffs. I don't care how good they do in the regular season. They lost to the Heat when they were the number 1 seed, I think, 2 years ago in the East. Obviously, again, this isn't the same Heat team, but in terms of matchup, there's just something about playing the 76ers in the playoffs where, you know, you feel like you have that.
Yeah. But, you know, as far as the Knicks, you got a nice little team. I don't expect the Knicks to do anything, honestly, in the playoffs. Do a first round, that do their hashtag bing bong, whatever the fuck, they'll do another video. They'll win one game, and then you will see all the video. Everybody's talking about New York. The basketball is better when New York. NBA is better when New York is winning. Come on, guys. The last time y'all went to the finals was like 2003 or something. I don't know. whatever Carmelo was playing.
I swear people say that about every New York
20 years.
The playoffs is better when New York's, and it's like, bro, says who? Like, only people from New York say that. Like,
it's very self-important. You're all very self-important.
Man, with the media coverage and how many people live in that city with the passion as well. Of course, bro, the sports world wakes up. And I'm saying that for the Knicks. Obviously, I'm a diehard Yankee, but I mean, listen, the Knicks win one game, right? You see how it takes over the whole country. So imagine if they go to the finals. Just imagine.
New York is not the whole country.
Celtics, just real quick, because we're talking a little about the Celtics. Are we overreacting?
Influence covers the whole country, though.
Are we going to overreact on the Celtics losing? You have a 3-game losing streak. Obviously, they're number 2. They're 45-21 on the season. Jojo, are you overreacting on the Celtics? Do you think it's over for the Celtics?
No, definitely not. Definitely not over for the Celtics. But I still think they should be concerned, right? It's not just about losing these last 3 games. It's how they lost these last 3 games. First, they gave up a 28-point lead. Again, that's not a mistake. 28-point lead to the Brooklyn Nets. A Kevin Durant-less Brooklyn Nets. A James Harden-less and Kyrie Irving-less Brooklyn Nets. Led by their all-star player, Ben Simmons, Brooklyn Nets. 28-point lead. Granted, with that trade for KD, they did pick up some nice pieces. And I think the Nets are still going to be in playoff contention. So the following game, they lost to the Knicks in double OT.
Double overtime, yeah.
Double overtime. That was a great game. I actually saw that game. And, hey, they were just going back and forth, man. Clutch shots all over the place, buzzer beaters, free throws, a lot of clutch situations going on both sides. And then this last game that they lost to the Cavs, when your boy choked both free throws to win the game. Yeah. All he needed to do was make one free throw. He said he was going to make both of them. I don't know if you've seen that video footage. So I think that was too funny. Yeah. All right, so they gave up, and they were up 14 in that game, I believe, as well. So, these last 3 games, they're not looking so well. I don't know how the rest of their schedule is looking like. But if they're fighting for that number 1 seed, and if you want to be that number 1 seed to have favorable matchup, because if you think about it, the number 1 seed in the East, to get to the finals, you're only going to face one of the top 5 teams.
At the end, if you go to
at the end, right?
Finals.
So, if you're the 2 or the 3, you're most likely going to have to face 2 of those tough teams, whether it's the Bucks or the Sixers or, even the Cavs are up there. So you want that 1 seed. And I think, for the Celtics, which the pressure is on for them, right? There's no more excuses like, hey, these guys are young.
Tatum,
or Brown, they'll get there. They even have, some veterans, Al Horford. Granted, they do have a new coach, right? And, they were dealing with issues with, what was his name? Udame?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be.
Lost JoJo.
Oh, we did? But yeah.
Oh, wait. I think he's back.
I think he's back.
What'd you say?
I'm just saying, it could be a coaching situation as well and, making adjustments on the fly, right? Because you do have a new coach. But you can't give up leads like that at all. Like, if you're up 15 plus heading into the 3rd or 4th quarter, that should be off rip a win, for a special team like the Celtics, the way they've been playing all season.
It's a tough couple games going to Brooklyn and staying for the Knicks. I'm fine. I'm not overreacting. I mean, yes, it's a great win, I guess, with the Knicks because nobody, go to double overtime. You guys lose. That's when all the talk, the hype of the Knicks are like, it's like, you guys won a game. Listen, I seen the hype. # Bing Bong. We'll see it at the end of the game. Like I said, there's not too many games left in the season. Obviously, it's going to be more competitive as we head into it, but I'm not going to overhype Celtics losing 3 games. Listen, my Miami Heat have been losing a lot of games. They've been on a lot of bad road trips, and Celtics, you'll be fine. You guys will do okay. Just rest up, and you guys will be all right. Let's end it with World Baseball Classic. Can we talk about the World Baseball Classic, JoJo? Obviously, you're wearing your Puerto Rico shirt from last year. We had the Marlins Puerto Rico shirt. Can we talk about a little bit of the World Classic? The first game is starting today.
That's right.
Kind of what do you expect out of this tournament?
I mean, listen, man. Today's the day we've been waiting for 5 years, Julie and I, and I guess the rest of you actually care about this. But again, we were there in 2017. 6 years. 6 years. Wow, damn. COVID really pushed things back.
Fuck shit up. Yeah.
But shit was crazy. Yeah, man. Tonight kicks off Cuba versus the Netherlands. The game will be on at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Pretty late game, but if you don't have to work in the morning, I'd say check it out. They debuted their uniforms. They had their media days.
What is it on?
Everybody's looking pretty crisp. FS1. The game will be on tonight, 11 o'clock. I'm hyped. Me and Julian we already explained last time. We got the tickets. We're going to a couple games next week. Hopefully it brings more energy into the city that we live in, Miami over here. We know Marlins Park, man. It's empty all season, which we know why, right? It's not really a baseball town, and the Marlins aren't really good. Yeah, which is crazy, right? And me, living in New York, growing up in New York, you would think South Florida would be big on baseball, and really it's not. And you can't really say that it's because the Marlins never won. They have 2 championships down here. I think about it's just the consistency and having winning seasons, and usually this time around,
I think it's really that.
Yeah, I think the World Baseball
those World
Classic,
Series runs, those were packed houses. It's the Sun Life back in the day.
That's a fact. And I think the World Baseball Classic will bring that energy back here in Miami that we want to see, right? In the baseball realm. And, it's crazy. We have, all these, Caribbean nations that live over here, South America, Central America as well. And I think baseball should just be bigger. And these games are going to be sold out, with these matchups. And it's just going to be exciting overall for the city.
No, yeah, it's really good to see meaningful games played in Miami. I think up until the COVID year with the expanded playoffs, that was the first time the Marlins made the playoffs since they won the World Series in 2003. And people weren't even there to enjoy it. So, I mean, it's kind of so there's really been no meaningful games here in a long time. I mean, people go to the home openers and it kind of dies off after that. So it's going to be really cool to see the stadium filled up again since the last World Baseball Classic and the All-Star Game and all that. So, and there's going to be a lot of games. So, and the environment is going to be wild. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, so they're hosting in 4 cities, obviously Taiwan, Japan, Phoenix, and Miami. So these guys are going to be in Miami. Hopefully they'll bring us more updates as we get the Miami games rolling. But I think that's going to do it for this.
You guys know who I'm rocking with.
I know JoJo saw it, but did you see that? Did you guys see that suite in the baseball stadium in Japan? I know JoJo saw it, but Gabe, did you see that? That was pretty sick. It has a balcony, so whoever rents out the suite can sit at their balcony and just watch the game.
So the baseball stadium
service
in Japan, they have suites, hotel suites, rooms that you can rent out and stay, and full service. They'll serve you food. You can sleep there. All the amenities, and then right on your balcony, you just see the field, and you get to watch the game from there, and it's wild. I haven't seen anything like that in the United States.
Yeah, Japan, they play baseball different than us, man. Japan, they show off.
I mean, 2-time winners of the Classic. You got to give it to Japan, and they're gonna make some noise this year. Actually, they're gonna make some. I'm excited to see them advance and potentially see them in a semifinal or quarterfinal game. Actually, semifinal, because quarterfinals they're going to be playing somewhere else. Here in Miami, if they make it that far, that would be really dope to go to see that team.
All right, I think that'll do it for this week, man. JoJo, tell them where they can find us on Instagram.
Listen, man, World Baseball Classic style, guys. You can find us here in Miami. You can find us in Phoenix. You can find us
Tokyo.
You can find us in Tokyo. You can find us.
What's the Instagram handle, though? What's the handle?
Listen, you can find us the Real Fans Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Real Fans Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. If I miss anything, let your boy know. Listen, like, comment, share, man. We love the interactions. Again, boys openly talking shit to Gabe. right? If you disagree with anything he says, which we do for the most part, let us know. We like to see it.
Go ahead, dunk on me.
Yeah.
Dunk on me.
And shout out to all the people that checked out the new show. Did really well. Got almost 100 views on the new show. So I appreciate all the new people. I hope you guys enjoy. We got another episode coming out soon for y'all as well.
Yeah. That soccer podcast really, they're really good. They're gonna get their, feet wet. So hopefully you check us out, man. Real Fast Podcast. We appreciate everybody checking us out. We have this main show. We have the soccer show. So thank y'all for checking us out and listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.